A very good morning to all, and in today's session we'll have an introductory lecture about CATIA. We'll learn what CATIA is, what are the different workbenches in CATIA, and it's a very basic and introductory part, and let's start with it. So as you are all aware that the software that we'll be learning is CATIA, CATIA, and the full form of this software is computer aided three-dimensional interactive application. Now CATIA was developed by Dassault System. It's a company in France, and it is a completely re-engineered next generation family of CAD, CAM and CAE software solutions for product lifecycle management. Now CATIA is one of the most easy to use and very user friendly software that we have, right? Now CATIA provides three basic platforms: P1, P2 and P3. Now the platform P1 is for small and medium sized process oriented companies, right? And P2 is for advanced design engineering companies that require product, process and resource modeling. And the third platform P3 is for high-end design applications, which is basically for automotive and aerospace industries. Now almost every uh, automotive company and aerospace companies, they basically use the CATIA as a software, right? Now there are certain requirements for installing the CATIA software, right? And the system requirement is that you need to have a minimum of 512 MB of RAM and a disk space of minimum 4 GB, right? And you also need to have a graphic adapter, right? And then obviously you need to have a color display, right? So, and your operating system should be Windows, and that is a few system requirements which are there. Now if you look at the CATIA software, you'll see that it's written CATIA V5, R16 or R17 or R20 or R24, right? So what exactly does it mean? See, the CATIA is the abbreviation of computer aided three-dimensional interactive application, as I've already told you. Now V5 stands for version, right? So the version that is being used these days is the version 5, right? And R stands for the revisions which have been made. So every time a revision is made or an upgrade comes out, it has certain tools which are more user friendly, which have more power, which is more powerful than its previous revision. So that is what the R stands for. So that's the revisions basically, right? So when now some of you might be using CATIA V5 R16, or some of you might be using CATIA V5 R20 or 24. So almost all the see, every version or any revision approximately has same kinds of features, right? But the newer ones, they have some additional features which you might not find in the previous versions. So if it's a V5, it will have almost every V5 will have similar kind of toolbars, but the newer one will have certain advanced features which are not there. So a very latest revision will always be the one which has more tools, right, which helps us in the design and development of a particular product. So that is what it is. Now one thing that is very peculiar in CATIA is that CATIA, we have different workbenches. Now in order to launch a CATIA, what you can do is you can double click the icon that we have on a desktop, or you can go to the start menu and you can find where CATIA is and you can launch it, right? So once the CATIA launches up, this is the window which pops up. So this is what happens when we open a CATIA, right? Now if I click the start button, you'll see that we have different modules over here. We have infrastructure, Then we have a module of mechanical design. Then we have shape. Then we have analysis and simulation. Then we have AC plant. Then we have machining. We have digital mock-up, equipment and systems. Now if you look at these, they are, it's very vast, the entire system, because it's a CAD CAM and CAE software, and it handles the entire product lifecycle management. So there are many things away. Now as a mechanical engineer, what we are interested in the mechanical designs, right? So that is what we'll be studying in this particular module of the Tata Labs. So if you look over here, these all are the different workbenches which are given to us in the mechanical design module, right? So there is a workbench which is known as part design. So I'll just open up. So this is a part design workbench which pops up, right? Now then, okay, let's close this off and I'll show you another. I don't want to make any changes, so I'll write no. So okay, fine, it goes back. So these are the different workbenches. Now what a workbench basically is, workbench is, it's an area, it's a specified environment or area which is given to us, and now this is the workbench, right? So I'll just pop up the sketcher workbench. Once I select a plane, I will enter into the sketcher workbench. Now this is a sketcher workbench in which a two-dimensional sketch is made, right? So that is this is the entire area in which we can work. This is known as the workspace or the workbench, right? So in this workbench we have different tools. Now these are the toolbar. This is the profile toolbar which we have. We can make different profiles for you. For example, if you see the first one over here, if I click this up, I can make a random profile from here. I can start here, then I can go here, I can make a line, I can also make an arc over here, right? Again I can make a line. So that is how we can basically make. So this is kind of a sketch that I've created right now, right? This is just for illustration purposes. So this entire area in which I am working, this is known as the workbench, and this particular one is the sketcher workbench. And in sketcher workbench we have different toolbars. So over here you can see this is the profile toolbar, this is the constraint toolbar which we have, right? This is the general toolbar that we have. Okay, so these toolbars are basically a set of tools which are given to us in a particular workbench, which help us in creating the desired outcome. Whatever we need to make, whatever we need to draw, whatever we need to produce, that is made in a particular workbench by using a set of tools that we have, right? And the tools are given in the toolbar. For example, if you look over here, we have an option of chamfer, corner. So this is chamfer, this is corner. We can trim, we can mirror, right? And this is the project 3D element, that is. So these are these. See, I'll drop it over here. So this is one of the toolbars. Place it back. This is one of the toolbars, and in toolbars we will have different tools. So this is one tool. This is the constraint define dialog box. This is constraint. This is fix. So these are different tools which are used for creating for getting the desired output, whatever we want, right? So a workbench has a specified area, and a workbench comprises of different toolbars, and toolbars have different tools, and we use those tools to get the desired, or to make the desired model, right? So that is what the difference is. Now there are certain very important terms and features of the CATIA software. The first one is that in CATIA there is feature based modeling. Now modeling is we need to create a model, right? So what does the feature based modeling mean? Now feature is something which is defined as a smallest building block, right? And that smallest building block can be modified individually. Now in CATIA, what we do is we create the solid models by integrating a number of these features, right? For example, I've created this profile. Now so if this profile, right, if I have to create a model of this profile, right, so what I've done is I've created lines. So line is a feature. I've created an arc. Arc is a feature, right? So I've used arc and lines basically over here, and that has created my sketch. Now I will go in the part workbench and I'll create a model out of this sketch, right? So after doing that, right, what will happen is that I'll get a model. So these features, by using these features, by collaborating these features, we can create a model. So that is one of the aspects of CATIA. It uses the feature based modeling, right? Second one is that in CATIA we have parametric modeling. Now the parametric modeling means that we can, we can reshape, or we can change the shape and size of a feature. For example, this line, right? I can change the dimension of this line at any point of designing, right? So I'll show you this. I'll just, okay, let's say this is the line. I'll add constraints to it. Let's say length. So I've got all the dimensions. Now if I want to change this dimension, right, let's click OK. So at any point I can change it. See, I don't want it 40, I want it 50. So once I can do it 50. So if I do that, the line changes to 50, right? So this is known as parametric modeling. Now that means that at any point during the designing process, I can reshape, or I can change the shape and size of any feature which I require. So that is known as the parametric modeling, and it is really very, very beneficial. It really helps a lot, because let's say if you have designed something at an initial stage and you took a wrong value, right, and during the assembly you find out that okay, it's a mismatch, right? So you cannot redraw the entire thing, or you cannot start from the initial step again. It will be a huge wastage of time. So instead of doing that, what we will do is we'll just alter the single feature. We'll alter the diameter. Let's say if there's a diameter involved, we'll change the diameter, and once we do that, right, and it's known as parametric modeling. Now the second aspect which comes out from the point that we were discussing right now, that there is one more thing which is known as bidirectional associativity, right? Now bidirectional associativity means that, let's say we have made n number of parts in the sketcher first, then we have created the solid models in part design workbench, and after that we are assembling it, right? And in assembly we find that okay, we cannot, there is not a perfect match of the components now. So what will happen? So again, by using parametric modeling, we will make a change. Now when we make a change in any of the workbenches, the change in that particular feature will change in everywhere within that, wherever that feature is used, right? And that is known as bidirectional associativity, right? So if we change a feature somewhere, everything, anywhere wherever we have that feature, it is going to change in that workbench also. So if we make a change in one part, everywhere where that part is being used, the simultaneous change will take place, right? So that is known as bidirectional associativity. Now because of these features, CATIA is quite unique, right? And it is a very user-friendly software basically. Now there are certain files which are there, and every file has its own file type. Now we have seen that when we use a PDF file, it's .pdf. Like Word file, we have .doc, right? Doc file. Similarly, Excel file, we have .xls. Right. So similarly, there are different workbenches in CATIA, and every workbench has a different file type. For example, if we use the Sketcher workbench, we have .drw file type. If we are using part design, we have .cat parts. If we are using the assembly, then we have cat product, right? So these are the different file types that we have, and when we go into the modules, then over there we'll discuss which file type is being used at that particular workbench, right? Now, one more thing, there is something which is known as specification tree. If you look at the extreme left hand side, topmost over here, this part 1, right? So this is the specification tree. Now specification tree is like a manager. It keeps the track of all the operations that are carried. Now you won't see over there. I'll just pop it down. So you see sketch 1. So whatever I have done in the sketch 1, it is over here, right? So this is what the specification tree is. So specification tree has, see, I've made point first, then I've made a line. This is the line 50, then I have second point, then I have a line, then I have a point, then I have taken a circle which is converted into an arc basically. Then again there's a point, we have a line. See all the information of this particular sketch is over here. So this is the specification tree. This specification tree tracks all the operations that are carried on the part, right? So this is one thing. Now if you look at the other side, this is the compass, okay? So over here, now this compass, I'm using a different axis, right? So let's select that. Now this compass is there, and this compass can be used for orientation of parts, assemblies or sketches. Now it is showing us that I'm creating this on the XY plane. So this is the XY plane on which I'm creating this particular assembly, right? So this is what the compass is. Now apart from this compass, we have different constraints. Now constraints are the logical operations which are performed on the selected element to define its size, location with respect to the other elements or reference geometries. Now over here, if you look at this 50, now this 50 is what we call as the value, right? So again, I have taken the constraint. Now if I select this and I do constraint, see, I get a radius, right? If you see that the color has changed, that means I have over dimensioned it. I'll just remove it later on, but you can see that the radius of this particular arc is given to me. The radius 83.7. Now I can change the radius again. Let's say I make it 50, right? So that has changed. So the radius is now 50. It has, you see, this is the center point of this. So again, this is just for illustration purposes. I just undo it using Ctrl Z. Okay. So I've undone it. So the constraints are the logical operations which are performed on the selected elements to define the shape and location with respect to the other elements or the reference geometries which are there. Now there are two kinds of constraints that we have. One is the sketcher, one constraints we have in the sketcher workbench, which we have over here, these top ones, right? These are known as the geometric constraints, and one which we have in the assembly workbench, which are known as the assembly constraints, right? So there are different constraints over there, and we'll talk about them as we come on to the sketches. Over there we'll discuss in details what these different sketches are, right? So that will be all for today, and in the next lecture we'll start off with the sketches, and we'll start with the sketcher workbench, and then we'll discuss the different toolbars which are given to us in the sketcher workbench, and after that we'll head off. Thank you all.